Hey everyone, here at Tradeoffs, you got to watch this video to the end to get the full story. And I got some parts at the end. I talk a lot about what it's like to be here. Did I miss anything from not being in the United States? How have I made my living? And I just gave my full experience, and then you'll hear at the end my real sentiment. So watch the video to the end. I love you for following my channel. Please support. You can do consulting with me. Please support the channel and help it continue growing. And I hope you enjoy this content. Thank you so much. Hey people, here I am at this little place that's like more relaxed at the bottom below Tradeoffs. I want to make a quick video. I had a couple questions that asked one of the people who subscribed to my channel. I think his name is Jared. I wanted to answer this. I get a lot of people hit me up with questions, even though my channel is still small and growing. But I give a lot of value, so I ask people, if you want to have a lot of questions and stuff like that, please, you get value from the channel, hit me up and do some consulting with me for 45 minutes or an hour and a half. You'll get a lot of value from talking to me, from all the experience I've had of living abroad and living in Medellin, and I'll make it way worth your time. And I like to answer questions of all the people that follow me. I work and my free time is limited, and so I would like people to support the channel and support what I'm doing. I'm living a life out here, and I'm making content for you all. So please help support it. I got my shirts. You can get them at Cafe Rev. You can, like I said, do a consulting call with me. And I think a couple of questions that this gentleman asked was, one thing was, how do I feel? Do I feel like I missed stuff from the United States? Like when I left and I've been here the whole time, do I miss I could have been in Boston or Los Angeles and maybe been working harder or have bought a house. Do I feel like I missed something? And there's sometimes I see people and I'm like, oh, my friends, they're like in LA, they're making all this money and they're doing this. And, I'm not that I haven't been working, I've been working hard. I've had a couple businesses here. I've worked online, I've done production. I worked actually pretty hard, but I've worked more for myself, more independent, more free. I have my own time. And it's been a hustle. Like I've had to hustle sometimes where it's like there hasn't been like a ton of solid income and I have to like go out and find it. It's like any freelance, but here, I guess you have a little bit, maybe less pressure than you do with the United States. Like in the United States, if you're in LA, there's not much time. You have to make good money and stay on it, because if you're not making money, then, you got your expenses and stuff. And if you want to save, but I think you can totally live a lifestyle here. You can work online for a while, save up a bunch of money, even, get property here if you want. It's people, you're allowed to get property in Colombia, and it's definitely possible to live that lifestyle. And the other question that this gentleman asked was, how do I do it? How did I do it? So I came here almost 9 years ago, pretty much 9 years ago, actually, because it's May. And I can't remember how much I had. I had been traveling, but I had like 15K at least, like cushion, and maybe some other stuff, but and I came here traveling. I didn't have much of a plan, but I was like, all right, I have enough to be here for like a year or so, and I had a job online. It was paying me very well. I was only working 10 hours a week. And so I had that job, and it supported me living here when I first came. And I'm thankful for that job, for John. I was working with an e-commerce thing. And then I just picked up little gigs and stuff like that. But like I said, I had a cushion to live off of. And then I put it together and I made it work. And then over the years, I opened up business here. I started a t-shirt company, which actually did pretty well. I had pretty good sales in that. It started off small, and then my goal was to sell 3 shirts a day, and that would be 150 mil, which is like what I needed to live in Colombia. And then I sold 5 shirts a day, and then 10 a day, and then 15 a day. Then I had a store in Laureles. I had 2 in Laureles and 1 in Poblado. I had like selling it at 15 locations in total. And so some months I actually did, like during the busy seasons, I did really well. I mean, I had a lot of employees and paying health insurance and all the other stuff, but I was living pretty well off that business. And that all went well until the pandemic happened, and then that crashed, and I was in the house, and that was tough times because I had to close all my locales and we couldn't have clients, but I didn't know what to do. It was tricky times because I was based on tourism, and people wanted rent, but we couldn't have clients going into the store, so it was tricky. And we all kind of reached agreements, and we got through it. But it was tough. My business was like really climbing up until that point, and then it hit it just crashed. And then after the pandemic, I worked on music, and I was really like, what do I want to do with my life? I started forming more of what I wanted to do, like long term, and I started the Gallery LaFond, which was a music space that had always been a dream of mine. And that place was pretty good. It was successful as far as like the community was growing and all the people that were knowing it, but it was tricky in the sense that there's a lot of noise, so I moved down here. That's one thing I don't like about the busy days. I mean, I love actually seeing all the people, which is crazy. It's great. I'm like down into the woods. It's beautiful. I've been into these woods as well. They're beautiful. Like you can take other routes and it's much more calm. I like seeing all the people here at Tradeoffs, but I don't like the people who bring the big boom boxes and you can't hear. There's multiple music at the same time. That part I don't like. Anyways, so I started the gallery, and it was successful, but it was like I invested a bunch of money, and it was like basically breaking even, and I never really got over the top. There was issues just with the zone. There was a neighbor who wouldn't let us have certain commercial things there, and it just got tricky. Like people gave us problems, and I had it all working at some point where I had there's a sushi restaurant and a women's store and then the gallery, and it was all kind of working, but then issues with the city, the zoning, and I don't know. There's a lot of tricky things about having a business here in Colombia, to be honest with you, that you don't know as a foreigner. Maybe I think as a Colombian, maybe you know how to get around certain stuff and you know how to deal with it. So it was a big learning curve for me. So I think that was ultimately what was the big challenge, was just interfacing with people and having the issues that come up. And I think if there's people, maybe I had a partner on the inside, I don't know, maybe we would have dealt with it a little bit differently. I'm not sure. I've learned a lot. I know how to run a business here. Trust me now at this point. I know the ins and outs, but it took me some extra years. The t-shirt company was a little bit more straightforward. And then the bar restaurant brought in all kinds of other different aspects that, I had to learn, and was a big learning curve. And, restaurants are hard anywhere, definitely in Medellin. And it was a mixed space that had bar, restaurant, food, events. So it was various different ways of income, like workshops and stuff. So that was tricky. And all through that, I've always had clients doing audiovisual production, which has been a great income source for me. People come here. I've done photo sessions. I've done a lot of video sessions for businesses here and businesses outside. People come here and do a photo shoot with me. And you can do, if you live in Florida or in New York or wherever, actually, you can come here and do a photo shoot with me it's like a third of the price, and you get a vacation, maybe half the price, it depends. But so, you get a big bang, and you could there's a lot of different areas and scenery here. Like you can be in nature, you can be in the city, and there's lots of different aspects of shooting content that you can do here, which I think it's different than it is in the States. And I think one thing I noticed about being in LA is a lot of the stuff, the typical places had already been shot. Like you already see the Hollywood sign everywhere, and it's very typical. And here I kind of got new inspiration for different types of views, and the canyons and the valley and all the colored houses. You can do a lot of different types of things with that. There's a lot of interesting scenes. So depending on what you're doing, you can make cool content, or you can make something that looks like it's just in a city, and it's for your brand. You don't know where it is. It just looks like cool content, and you can find, I have backdrops and all that stuff. So I've done that, and now I work online for a company. I don't want to say my company. You can message me if you want, but I don't like to put my personal information. You can check on my LinkedIn if you want. But I work for a marketing company out of the United States, and we do sales. I do B2B. I help companies grow pipeline and get meetings to grow their business. I'm working with a couple different clients right now. And if you have a business like that, you can live here in Medellin. I'm really happy with what I do now. I actually have to leave to go to work. I came to the Tradeoffs to do this content, and then I will go to work now. So I have this kind of cool lifestyle. I've been thinking about maybe moving somewhere more rural or more just a chiller city. I like Medellin, but there's a lot of stuff here. So I hope that answers the questions. Like, I don't feel like I missed much, to be honest with you. I feel like I've had this amazing life. I would not give up my adventures in Colombia for anything. I feel like I've been blessed with these experiences. I've had things happen to me that would have never happened to me if I didn't take that risk to come to Colombia. I feel like there's times in life where you're like, oh, I want to do this, but there's the doubts. But I just jumped off and did it, and I'm so glad I did. I just think it's I would have missed this whole, like, going through the comunas on my moto, going through the Andes Mountains, like all these experiences, all the people, like all the beautiful times, my moto even breaking down, and you know, like stuff that happened. It was just adventures that I would have not had just staying in LA. Like I was living in a bubble in a way, but I made this. It's a miracle, really, my life. The people I made, the relationships, the friends. Colombia has really embraced me, and so I haven't missed anything. If not, I've gained everything. And when I go back to the U.S. at this point, I kind of feel like, wow, I miss Colombia. Like I miss the vibe and the feeling of it. So yeah, that's how I feel. So I hope you all got something out of this video. I appreciate your time. Follow me on my Instagram, Rob LaFond, or LaFond Social. They're both in the links. Okay. Be safe, and I love you all. Okay. Ciao.